One morning, a boy named Ju-young rushes to the bathroom mirror, and at the same time, grabs his left eye. However, he discovers that a mysterious red symbol has appeared in his eye. Then he realizes he can see certain information floating above people's heads, including his own, like their names. Like any normal person, he ignores it and continues on his way to school as if nothing had happened, even when his eye starts to look like Sasuke's. At school, it's revealed that he's an average boy, with a plain appearance and below-average grades, as he attends a crammed school to retake a test that everyone else passed. He's also not good at sports, but he loves video games, so he can't defend himself when others mock or push him. He becomes a target of ridicule when they find out he's interested in a popular girl. While reflecting on what happened, his eye activates again and starts revealing information about others. He thinks maybe it's all happening because he's been playing too much Genshin Impact, but the information is too clear and detailed to be just a hallucination. He notices he can see correct names and ages, though he doesn't understand other data like difficulty level or interest level. However, he realizes that the information about girls is a bit more detailed than that of boys. Unfortunately, he notices that all the girls' interest levels toward him are at 0, which embarrasses him because he believes he's completely irrelevant. Finally, he runs into the popular girl, Kim Lana, surrounded by 2 popular guys asking her out. His friend Park Jae-won asks if he wants to go to the arcade after class, but Ju-young declines the invitation, saying he needs to study. Suddenly, his special eye activates again. He looks at Lana again and notices, astonished, that her interest level is at 1. He smiles, in disbelief, refusing to believe the queen of the school could be interested in him. Sadly, Lana notices he was staring at her, causing the whole class to turn their heads toward them. Ju-young begins to sweat cold and tries to excuse himself, saying she was seeing things. Lana approaches him and asks if he's implying that she's lying. Then she yells at him, saying she caught him secretly looking at her, and raises her hand as if to hit him, making Ju-young's life flash before his eyes. Just when he thinks it's all over for him, a message appears indicating that the tutorial has been completed, as he had an encounter with someone who showed interest in him. A few seconds later, Ju-young opens his eyes and notices nothing has happened. However, he sees that Lana is still standing in front of him, as if time had frozen. It's revealed that the skill called King's Stopwatch has been activated, stopping time for exactly 5 minutes. At that moment, a pop-up notification appears indicating that a tutorial mission has started. Make Lana scream loudly. If he succeeds, the target's interest level will increase by 20 points and his domination over her will also rise. Confused, Ju-young smiles awkwardly. 5 minutes later, Lana is seen trembling on the floor while everyone wonders how Ju-young suddenly disappeared. Lana starts to feel strange, as if something had just happened. Despite the commotion, Ju-young somehow has returned home, murmuring to himself that everything could have gone very wrong. However, we discover that during the 5 minutes when time was stopped, Ju-young took the opportunity to complete his mission and return home. His eye activates again and notifications appear saying he has leveled up. With this new level, he acquires a skill called Incubus Eye. Then, another notification tells him to check his status window. Fortunately, a video game-style screen appears in front of him, showing all kinds of information about himself. However, he realizes that his stats are pretty bad, despite having a cool nickname. Finally, he finds another notification saying he has 2 incomplete missions. His curiosity leads him to open the missions tab, where he discovers that one of them involves improving his strength, and the other involves someone named Rankim. He complains about his physical training mission, but ignores it, remembering he just got an incredible skill that allows him to freeze time. He starts to celebrate, convinced that he can now leave his loser life behind and be reborn as a powerful man. However, he's interrupted by a voice that says, "Excuse me." He turns around and discovers it's his red-haired neighbor. He's surprised to see that such a pretty girl lives right next door, almost as surprised as she is to find out Ju Young lives alone. He asks her what brings her by, and she replies that he should please keep the noise down, as she's preparing for her exams. During the conversation, Ju Young notices he can now see detailed information about people, but he can't access it because he lacks enough energy. He tries to figure out what that means, forgetting that his neighbor is still standing in front of him. He touches his eye and begins assigning stat points to energy, which allows him to successfully unlock additional details about Park Nami. One of those details is her relationship status and her measurements, which leads Ju Young to tease Nami for not having a boyfriend. Since she had come to scold him for being noisy, he decides to show her true terror. At that moment, Ju Young stops time and Nami is frozen. However, as he's about to punish her, he's surprised by a system alert, informing him he's been penalized for interacting with a girl who has no interest in him. Time is forcibly resumed and Ju Young is left lying on the floor. Finally, Park Nami wakes up and becomes worried upon seeing Ju Young lying on the ground. The scene shifts to the next day, at the J school, where our protagonist reflects on what happened the day before. He had no idea that approaching someone with zero interest would bring penalties. Suddenly, Lana kicks his chair and stands in front of him, telling him to follow her. Already in the girls' bathroom, Lana demands that he be honest and explain what happened in class. Sweating cold, Ju Young tries to play dumb, but she yells at him that she already knows what he did to her. She says her panties disappeared right after talking to him. Ju Young smiles mischievously and asks if she's trying to flirt with him, adding that he didn't know she liked that kind of thing. He continues pressing her with uncomfortable comments, making Lana begin to visibly tremble. Even so, she reminds him they're in the girls' bathroom and threatens to scream. But Ju Young calmly replies that if she wants to do it, she should go ahead. Trying to prove she's not joking, Lana opens her mouth to scream, but Ju Young activates his special eye and stops time once more. Moments later, Lana is left alone and motionless, but with her mind active. It's revealed that Ju Young can now turn someone's consciousness on or off at will. He reappears in front of her and asks if she's surprised. He explains that although her mind is awake, she can't speak or move. With a darker tone, he leans toward her and whispers that he's basically a demon king, like in games or anime. What happens next can't be shown, so you'll have to use your imagination. Oh, and yes, he begins to control her mind and discovers what she truly likes. After 2 minutes, a countdown appears, indicating that his ability will end in 10 seconds. Unfortunately, he's in a compromising position, unable to escape before time runs out. Panicking, Ju Young tries to think of what to do as Lana begins to regain control of her body. However, to his surprise, Lana's interest level increases to 40. Thinking quickly, Ju Young tries to confuse her. He asks what she thought about the pineapple juice she drank. She blushes and he tells her there's no need to be embarrassed. Then he makes up that the pineapple juice is part of a magic contract, claiming his pineapple contains powerful magic and curses, and that any girl who drinks it becomes his. He warns her that if she doesn't obey him, she'll perish quickly. Lana, to his surprise, believes everything, as if she still believes in Santa Claus. She begins to cry in confusion, and in the midst of the chaos, clings to him. To calm her down, Ju Young explains that although he's the great demon king, he doesn't dislike her. In fact, for a human, she's his type, pretty and fit, so yes, he likes her. He warns her again to obey him, and everything will be fine. He promises that if she cooperates, she can obtain wealth, fame, and everything she desires. But just at that moment, someone starts to open the bathroom door. Ju Young reacts quickly and grabs her arm, hiding with her in a stall. Taking advantage of the situation, he says it's time to show her a hidden talent. They end up riding an electric bike inside the bathroom, but it's hard to keep the motor quiet, making it risky. Unfortunately, they overload the bike, and the scene becomes chaotic. The story continues with Ju Young hiding near Lana, making sure she has enough protein in the game context. He levels up once more, and his strength improves as Lana's interest reaches the maximum level. With that, Ju Young unlocks an even more powerful new ability. He is quickly teleported back home, while Lana goes to take a shower, still in a state of confusion. She repeats to herself that Ju Young can't be the Demon King, that it can't be real, even though he literally can stop time. Even so, she begins to accept what happened, and realizes she likes it. The thought makes her shiver, and she collapses on the floor, confused but filled with strange energy. She feels she's being punished by Ju Young. Meanwhile, Ju Young, or the Demon King, is happy with the day's events, recalling it all with euphoria. He screams that he is now a true Demon King. However, a problem soon arises. He gets distracted trying to decide how to distribute his stat points, as he has leveled up twice since regaining his powers. His strength, agility, endurance, and ego have improved, but he still has 6 points to assign. He decides to put 2 into strength, and abs appear on his stomach. But now he faces a new dilemma. Should he put all his points into strength to become another Jack like Arnold, or save some for energy and better use his abilities? Before deciding, a notification appears. Lana is thinking about him, but she doesn't even sneeze. Then another alert pops up. Do you want to use the soul connection skill? Like any sketchy pop-up window, he presses yes without thinking. A dark circle appears under his feet and teleports him directly to where Lana is, though this time he's invisible. With his new skill, he scans the room and finds her collapsed on the floor. He tries to help her, but she thinks she's hearing things, unaware that an invisible man is beside her. Believing she's being punished, she begins to apologize, but her plan fails when Ju Young hears that she's been saying bad things about him. She begs even more, but the twist comes when he simply asks if she's okay. Lana responds that she just feels very hot, but Ju Young understands perfectly what she meant. He tells her to manage on her own, and before he can summon more pineapples, she somehow learns French and says pardon. Ju Young, like a true motivator, channels his energy and replies, just do it. Eventually, she agrees to his demands because she doesn't want to incur the wrath of the Demon King. Meanwhile, Ju Young keeps watching. Finally, she speaks French again, and he fulfills her request by helping with the language of love. But just when Waniko activates a jackhammer, they're rudely interrupted by a ringtone. They try to ignore it, but unfortunately it rings again. This time, Ju Young checks the phone only to find it's a simpleton trying to text him. The next day arrives, and Ju Young once again finds himself back at school. There he starts to notice that his unique powers have improved, and that his stats have gone up quite a bit. As class begins, he encounters the same classmates as always, but this time, The girls who previously had zero interest in him begin to show small increases, one by one. To his surprise, one even says good morning as she walks past him. He replies awkwardly. Moments later, he hears another girl commenting that he's finally starting to look cute. In just 2 days, he went from being a nobody to someone a girl actually wants to sit with. Surprised by the unexpected attention, he's left speechless. The girl repeats her question after noticing his lack of response. He tries to gather the courage to reply, but his old lack of confidence resurfaces. Fortunately, the Fire Nation attacks. His eye activates once again. This time he looks at Park Na-young and discovers her interest level is 8. Like a good harem protagonist, he doesn't hesitate to activate his powers and observe her more closely. He starts looking for pillows, for scientific research, but discovers she's incredibly pure. He keeps talking to himself while everyone remains frozen in time. Suddenly, he receives a penalty for low interest, but deep down he expected it. The tutorial is over. Despite the penalty, he hopes a new domination quest will appear, but as expected, he's disappointed when nothing happens. Time runs out and Na-young instantly wakes up, this time without any strange change. She feels uneasy noticing that Ju-young is staring at her, but since his riz level is through the roof, he simply says hi like it's nothing. Not knowing how to react, she starts cursing him under her breath, which curiously raises her interest from 8 to 9, just because of the attention he gives her. That's when Ju-young's internal self-deception begins. Even though he has Lana practically in the bag, now he wants Na-young to look at him differently too. Speaking of Lana, she lately always seems to want pineapple juice, so Ju-young decides to try making her jealous. It works. A popular boy approaches Lana, but she ignores him, which is not like her. She's too busy calming her anger. Then she stands up furiously, ignores him, and kicks Na-young's back, telling her to switch seats immediately. She says it so loudly that even the popular clique is left stunned, starting to suspect that Lana really is interested in Ju-young. Hearing all this, our supreme simp, the rejected boy, gets angry, threatens his friends, and heads toward the Demon King. Meanwhile, Lana sits next to a humorless Ju-young, who proceeds to scold her for interrupting his search for harem girls. Lana feels bad, but Ju-young lightens the mood by joking. "Are you jealous?" Then he reassures her, saying that since she was the first, she doesn't need to worry so much. This leaves her relieved. Next, he asks her if she followed his command from the previous night, to which she shyly nods. Turns out he let her choose what clothes to wear and, let's just say a few items were missing. Nevertheless, Ju-young stands up and asks for permission to leave the classroom, but he's ambushed by the simp, who knocks him down. The simp calls him a loser, but doesn't know Ju-young has activated his trump card. Lana gets furious with the simp while Ju-young channels his inner energy, assumes the earthbender stance, and rises in style. We all know the simp messed up. Ju-young begins to belittle the blonde kid. His eye activates and detects that Young-jun has a strength level of 7. So, provoking him, he calls him a pure child. Then he lands a seismic punch that sends him flying across the room. Surprised by his new power, Ju-young mutters to himself that with a couple more levels, he'll become Superman. Like a true king, he tells Young-jun he always seemed weak because he wanted to toy with his prey a bit longer. Meanwhile, Lana is electrified seeing how the former loser has turned into a truly dominant man. Back in action, Ju-young spares Young-jun and signals for him to follow him outside. There Lana joins him. Young-jun, not understanding anything, asks why he had to bring her too. Ju-young replies, I just wanted you to see something interesting. Next, he pulls her closer to him, making Young-jun die of jealousy. Lana starts following Ju-young's commands without hesitation, while Young-jun goes into total shock. Ju-young keeps giving commands, and she happily obeys. Young-jun looks like he's about to lose control of his bladder just from what he's seeing. The scene escalates so fast it felt like Team Rocket was blasting off again. The guy ends up so defeated he looks like he came out of a Titan Tags parody. If you know, you know. He summons his Roblox powers and decides to risk it all. But instead of finding One Punch Man, Young-jun runs into Mukekman. And just like that, it was all over for him. Ju-young keeps mocking him in Australian. A mate, that's when you know it's real. He activates his eye and forces Young-jun to be unable to move. Then he combines his ability, forcing him to stare directly at Ju-young and Lana together. And this is when we remember this is a cultural novel. At this exact moment, we completely shift genres to one that requires the reader's imagination. And in case you're wondering, the show is called Stopwatch, but the first 3 letters, you know where to find them, in the video comments, of course. Anyway, I feel bad for the guy, so we'll skip the part where Ju-young disguises himself as a jackhammer. Finally, it's revealed that Young-jun never really stood a chance, and upon hearing this, Young-jun's soul is crushed even more. Eventually, we arrive at a scene a bit too cruel to show in the video, where Young-jun finally breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, Lana is tossed to the floor like a rag doll, while Young-jun seems to have lost all hope. Suddenly, a notification appears stating that Ju-young has committed a wicked act, granting him even more bonus stats. Energy begins to flow through him, while his charm and mana also increase. We fast forward to the next day, where we find Ju-young with Lana at school. After what happened the day before, Ju-young's status within the institution has improved. After defeating the most popular boy in school, even the girls started showing more interest in him, while the boys grew more jealous seeing a loser stealing all the spotlight. Additionally, he acquired a new skill called Dignity, which exerts overwhelming pressure on anyone beneath him. Now, the boys who used to mock him can't even look him in the eye. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Young-jun is nowhere to be found. However, Ju-young finds Na-young in his place and notices something is off, and not just because she's there. Na-young starts trembling, as if someone as terrifying as Justin Bohr were nearby, so Ju-young decides to approach her. Of course, it was to be expected that Lana would activate her jealous mode upon noticing the Demon King had his eyes on another girl. Sitting next to Na-young, she starts stammering. Then Ju-young activates his special eye to check her interest level, which rises to 31, while the difficulty level drops to F. He's instantly shocked to see such a high number, so he begins plotting his conquest strategy. They start talking about what happened the day before, and his wishes come true when a domination mission appears. Ju-young keeps his cool, but accidentally slips by saying her name, even though she never introduced herself. He saves himself by saying he was interested in her. That's why he knew her name. Meanwhile, Lana starts to look visibly annoyed. After school, Ju-young invites Na-young to his house, amused with himself, since he hasn't even had to use his powers yet. Upon arriving, he takes her hand and leads her inside like a true gentleman. Then he quickly showers, only to find Na-young nervously singing in his bed. She mentions she's the first girl to visit his house. With that, and no more talking, he enters like a cobra without needing to activate his abilities. He transforms into a jackhammer, and the rest is history. The story continues with Ju-young explaining to Na-young that he's not dating Lana, so everything's fine. But Ju Young activates his powers to discover that Na Young tends to feel attracted to strong males, like Harambe. He uses this to his advantage to quickly raise her interest level, as if it were a game. He does everything to fill the bar, which allows him to successfully complete his domination mission in seconds. After completing the mission, Ju Young gains even more power as his stats increase. With a satisfied smile, he thinks to himself that it was too easy, so he continues and asks if she wants a banana, since she's low on potassium. Then he goes to the supermarket, which makes Na Young speak in French out of sheer frustration. Ju Young's expression turns serious, since he forgot to bring his phone with Duolingo to translate. Luckily for him, Na Young is ready to teach him the language of love. However, they get so carried away that the whole neighborhood ends up hearing them. Eventually, Ju Young has enough of the lesson, so he activates his special eye again to download all of Na Young's deepest secrets from her memory. Afterward, he removes her glasses so her head doesn't hurt. Suddenly, he transforms into a jackhammer again to obtain a new ability, which overwhelms the target's brain with every hit. Unintentionally, he uses it on Na Young, which drives her mad. But he keeps using his new ability, causing an increase in noise, which bothers his red-haired neighbor. Finally, Nami slams her desk and gets ready to confront the Demon King. She steps out with her fists raised, unaware that Ju Young is completely focused on leveling up his skill. Meanwhile, Ju Young ends his brain link with Na Young, who seems to be in ecstasy thanks to his new technique. His skill is so powerful that Na Young starts feeling completely free, like when you finally make it to the bathroom. Anyway, Ju Young seals the deal by handing her his phone so she can enter her number, which she gladly does. She officially becomes part of his harem, even letting Na Young call him boyfriend. So, they're interrupted by a noise at the door. Ju Young goes to check it out, driven by curiosity, only to find Nami, who passive-aggressively reminds him that she's his neighbor. However, she's a bit surprised to see Ju Young has gained some muscle, and ends up stammering as she gets nervous in front of the future god. She starts trembling, confused by what's happening to her. Ju Young asks if she's okay. Her body starts moving like she's got no control, while Nami still can't believe that this scrawny guy now has muscles like her pants, according to her. Then she realizes maybe that weak Ju Young was always her type. Acting weird, Ju Young activates his eye and takes a closer look. He finds out Nami's interest level jumped from a depressing 0 to 11 in just one day. He seizes the chance and starts talking to her. She tries to shyly mention the earlier noise, but can't get her words out in front of the alpha player. Suddenly, Na Young shows up in the corner, leaving Nami in total shock. Stunned, Na Young calls Nami sister, using a feminine pronoun. With the whole situation flipped, a new domination mission appears since the target has now turned hostile instead of docile. In a matter of seconds, Nami drops a clue. She's actually from planet Nemak. Furious, she says the words, "Can we talk for a minute?" We cut to a typical coffee shop, where Ju Young's stunned to find out his neighbor is, in fact, Na Young's sister. Then a flashback shows Nami yelling at Na Young to come home. After that, she demands Ju Young follow her. Now we find Ju Young stuck with a fiery redhead Nami. Even though she's mad at him, a domination mission pops up, telling Ju Young he's gotta win Nami over before time runs out. If he could finish the mission within a week, he'd get a crazy reward, 3 bonus levels and a 10-point boost to his charm stat. With such a wild reward, Ju Young starts planning how to win her over, since Nami is exactly his type. While daydreaming, He's snapped back to reality when Nami yells in his face. But another notification pops up warning that if he fails the mission, he'll lose all his powers. In just 2 seconds, Ju-young goes from daydreaming to high alert, though not the kind he expected. Even after getting a few helpful tips from the system, he's told that while Nami's in a hostile state, he won't earn a single interest point. Ju-young starts getting a bit nervous while Nami keeps scolding him. But the only thing on his mind is how to punish her to complete the mission once and for all. So he takes a deep breath until he can focus. Unfortunately, the first thing he hears is Nami telling him to never meet up with Na-young again. That makes him mumble a phrase in French that apparently everyone says, so he asks why he has to do that. At his confused reply, Nami is left speechless, and not in a good way. She slams the table and explains that Na-young needs to study and shouldn't be distracted. That's why she's in cram school. Then she gets so mad that, without meaning to, she helps Ju-young. Feeling publicly humiliated, she starts acting like an Antonella, drawing the attention of nearby customers, only adding to her embarrassment. Without Ju-young lifting a finger, Nami's humiliation level hits 8. Probably an internal system reference. After helping him change a tire before, she starts apologizing and heads to the door, but stops cold when Ju-young finally speaks. He decides his next move is to make her even angrier, so he tells her there's no way he's leaving Na-young alone. Nami turns around furious, only to see Ju-young making finger gestures, straight up mocking her. Then he says he's not even dating Na-young, which confuses Nami, since she claims to have heard them together in his room. Embarrassed but determined, Ju-young stands up and activates his powers to take advantage of the moment. This time he's got exactly 10 minutes to pull off his plan. He explains to a frozen Nami that just because they share a room doesn't mean they're dating. Surprisingly, Nami mumbles a few words back, though she can't really move. This triggers a pop-up saying she's partially resisting his ability, since she's still mentally scolding him. Still, Ju-young realizes she can't speak at all, so he leans in and asks how she wants to be rewarded for everything. Then he starts insulting her over and over, though really he's just spitting facts. He doesn't want things to get out of hand, so he offers to help. Nami's shocked by what's happening. Even though Ju-young admits she's his type, he then switches to Demon Lord mode and says if she doesn't want him seeing Na-young, then he'll start by seeing her. So he starts his first annual inspection, probably a system event, but she starts pushing back, since she's strong enough to weaken his ability. She asks if he's gone crazy, but Ju-young just plays dumb. She warns him she'll become a lawyer, and once she's done with him, he better not drop the soap. Unfortunately for her, Ju-young tells her to look around, explaining that everything's frozen and no one will know what's happening. Not even advanced cameras can detect his real powers. Then there's a time skip in the story. Ju-young puts on his jackhammer outfit, some kind of combat suit, maybe, for those who are brave enough. This happens in chapter 14. Sorry, editor. Anyway, pineapple juice was very present during that moment. When the timer ends, he manages to complete the mission and gets some small stat boosts. Just like that, the protagonist starts getting even stronger. The next day, Ju-young describes himself as a mushroom and says he's a funny guy. It's revealed that his stats have shot up dramatically in just 3 days. If Ju-young were in Black Fruits, he'd be about to become a mythic class, since his strength level is just over 10. Now that he was only trolling before, he starts thinking he might actually become powerful enough to be a legit demon king. But his thoughts are interrupted by footsteps in the hallway, some sandals. He quickly links that sound to Nami, and he's right. his fierce neighbor pounds on his door. He thinks to himself she's probably pissed. Not like someone had frozen time and used it against her before. Luckily for us, something bad finally happens to Ju-young. He runs out of money. He starts crying, since he can't even buy himself a ramen. He mutters to himself that he's completely broke, despite having ridiculous superpowers. Instead of using his powers for good, he considers calling Lana to bring him food, but then decides against it cause it'd hurt his pride. But suddenly he remembers he can stop time, so he runs to the nearest convenience store. When he gets there, he hesitates for a moment, cause stealing is wrong. But somehow, everything else he's done apparently isn't. Even so, he activates his powers and enters the store, with only 5 minutes to complete his goal. Inside, he grabs a few packs of ramen, but accidentally bumps into a frozen person, a part-time worker restocking the drink aisle. This distracts him. Without thinking, he tries to touch her, but gets repelled instantly, since he forgot to check her interest level. Apparently, she's also a K-pop idol trainee. And speaking of K-pop, anyone here into new jeans? The story continues with Ju-young being pushed back by his own powers, so, reluctantly, he leaves the shop. As he walks away, he remembers what a wise man once said, as long as there's a hole, there's still a goal, just like in any cult anime. However, he realizes he's only got 30 seconds left to get out before time starts unfreezing again. Finally, his ability runs out, but luckily he makes it out just in time. Afterwards, he tells himself that, if he hadn't gotten distracted by the frozen idol, he could have at least grabbed some Kit Kat ice cream for dessert. Suddenly, a notification pops up saying Ju-young has committed an evil act. But instead of getting punished, once again he's rewarded with a ton of experience points and a boost to his main power. This leaves him baffled, since his favorite hero had to train in the time chamber just to freeze a few seconds, and he, in a matter of days, can already stop time for over 10 minutes. Plus, now he can also choose who gets frozen instead of freezing everyone at once. So he mumbles to himself that it looks like becoming the Demon King is about to become reality. Later on, Ju-young gets 2 alerts at the same time telling him that both Lana and Na-young are thinking about him. This gives him a temporary sense of relief, since his lower self had been stiff as steel ever since his last run-in with the K-pop idol.